Azure SQL Database Hyperscale is optimized for online transaction processing, OLTP, and high throughput, supporting up to 100 terabytes of data. Azure SQL Database has a maximum retention period of 730 days, 2 years, for backups. Soft Delete is a feature that allows for the recovery of deleted data in Azure services. Azure Service Fabric enables independent upgrades of microservices, supports stateful and stateless services, and provides cluster management and health monitoring. Priority traffic routing is managed by Azure Traffic Manager, which routes traffic based on priority rules and policies. Azure Service Endpoints can be used to reduce latency and secure Azure resources by enabling direct network access between virtual networks and supported Azure services. Azure Database Migration Service enables online and offline migrations of on-premises databases to Azure. Azure Pipeline Release Pipelines support the building of container images in Azure Container Registry, ACR, and deploying them to Azure Kubernetes Service, AKS. Azure Firewall parent and child policies need to be located in the same Azure region for proper functionality. Azure Blob Storage supports various tiers, including hot, cool, and archive, for cost-effective storage options based on data access frequency. Azure AD Entitlement Management provides a centralized way to manage and govern external users' access to resources and applications. Azure Instance Metadata Service Identity, IMDS, allows for obtaining tokens for Azure VMs to authenticate against Azure services. Azure Data Factory, ADF, allows you to create pipelines for data movement, transformation, and control activities. Azure Data Factory can integrate with Azure Databricks and Azure Synapse Analytics, formerly SQL Data Warehouse, for advanced data processing and analytics. Azure Data Factory can be used to automatically send logs to Azure SQL Database for storage and analysis. Azure Cosmos DB stores data in a JSON-like format and supports SQL queries with low latency. Azure Table Storage with GeoZone Redundant Storage, GZRS, can provide multiple region write capability, similar to Azure Cosmos DB. Azure Cosmos DB data migration tools can be used to migrate data to Azure Cosmos DB, including support for MongoDB migrations. Azure Synapse Analytics supports transactional data processing, daily job scheduling, analysis on stored SQL data, and the development of notebooks for multiple programming languages. Azure Key Vault is a secure storage service that allows you to manage and safeguard cryptographic keys, secrets, and certificates. Azure Service Bus supports messaging patterns using queues and topics, with options for session-based message processing and FIFO, first-in first-out, delivery. Azure Application Gateway includes an ingress controller, APIC, for managing inbound traffic to applications. Azure SQL Database offers features such as dynamic data masking for sensitive data protection and always encrypted for secure data encryption. Azure SQL Managed Instance, SQL MI, has specific capacity limits, including maximum CPU cores and allotted storage, with different performance tiers available. Azure Firewall can enforce network-level filtering rules to control inbound and outbound traffic to and from Azure resources. Azure DevOps release pipelines enable the deployment of container images built in Azure Container Registry, ACR, to Azure Kubernetes Service, AKS. Azure AD can be used to move data from Azure Data Lake Storage into and Cosmos DB for processing and analysis, ASA, for analysis.